Welcome back to our next session, where we're going to hear from a brand that's recognized literally around the world for their playful yet sophisticated tone of voice, as well as their industry-defining innovation. We're so excited to welcome Virgin Atlantic to Litmus Live, and we've got a really great conversation lined up to learn more about how their email program continually pushes the limits with panache and humor, and how they use Validity's full suite of email solutions to achieve their world-class performance. Before we get into the conversation, let's start with some introductions. Firstly, Tom Nowell, so Senior Manager, basically covering everything to do with CRM delivery at Virgin. So Tom oversees end-to-end OmniChannel customer communications and experimentation across email, SMS, WhatsApp, social, and display. As product owner for multiple marketing technology platforms, Tom focuses on activating first-party data, journey orchestration, and testing frameworks that scale personalization and deliver business impact. He works cross-functionally with digital, e-commerce, technology, and data to align roadmaps from platform to creative and measurement. That sounds like a full workload, Tom. Really pleased to have
Yeah,
you with us
I'm
today.
not gonna lie, Guy. I think it'd be lovely to have you as my wingman for every meeting I turn up to give me that kind of introduction. So, uh, yeah,
Absolutely, it
thank you
sounds
so
great.
much. Absolutely, and we'll explain more as we go through. But yeah, no, really appreciate the introduction. Thank you.
Very good. And joining myself and Tom, we also have Reece Cohen. Reece is campaign developer in the CRM team, and he's also spent over a decade transforming inboxes into moments of inspiration, working both agency side and in-house for leading brands across sport, finance, and travel. From essential service updates to fine-tuned data-driven marketing campaigns, crafting hyper-personalized email experiences that engage and convert and delight. Virgin Atlantic constantly pushes the boundaries to ensure their emails don't just land, they lift off. Because in a crowded inbox, ordinary just won't fly. That's another great intro, Reece. Really pleased to have you with us today.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Not as much as Tom's, but yeah, I'm sure we can share a lot of insight for sure.
Yeah, and
Awesome.
you're doing Reese a disservice there, guys. So, but Reese is talking about a lot of the amazing stuff that we're working on. So yeah, really looking forward to it.
Well, we're going to put you to the test over the next 25 minutes. Let's jump
Yeah.
into the conversation that we've got lined up. So, I reckon that for any airline, the email channel forms a really critical part of customer comms. We're not just talking marketing, although that's really important. We're talking about messages like booking confirmations and flight updates, and they all play a really crucial role in every customer's journey. So, can we start off, Tom, with just a quick overview about the general importance of email to Virgin Atlantic?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think I don't think it's just us. I think it's a lot of other brands right across every industry that we've been working on that email has always been significantly important in terms of communications to our customers. That is the case for how we've operated, but I think CRM has really changed in terms of a function. From when I was started in CRM, maybe 10, 15 years ago, it was talking about marketing, talking about loyalty, which is generally still true today, but that has significantly changed in terms of how do we operate in terms of consistent message across, email being fundamental, but how do we move that through every single channel and communication as we do today. So, and when we think about that, that is where it desperately spans across how do our brand communications work? How do our more operational communications work with the likes of booking confirmations or online check-in
Mm.
or specific, customer service comms. So being able to really directly align that is really important. And I think that's a really key point to mention here because that's where customer communications functions right across the customer journey. So whether that be
Mm.
inspiration to booking to customer confidence, and then obviously loyalty and post booking functions is, really is so important in terms of being able to increase loyalty and having repeat bookings. And I suppose that's where it does again directly link to some of our key KPIs that we're obviously linking to and discussing with some of our senior stakeholders in respect of the fact that talking about deliverability and the importance of email is, everyone understands, but unless it's directly aligned to revenue, NPS, or satisfaction, then bringing that to life is really, really, really key for us. I think the biggest thing that we've been able to do to really establish that is establishing some kind of really core foundations. So working obviously very closely with you guys. We've got a 99 out of 100 sender score, which we're super proud of. A 99.8 inbox placement, again, really proud of. And then we'll talk about it potentially a little bit later, but then that opens up additional opportunities there in terms of reputation and confidence with our customers.
That's a really great overview. So I think, fair to say that certainly in your organization, email is that one channel that really spans the entire customer journey. I wanted to ask you a quick sidebar question. I think sometimes email marketing teams, struggle to get the attention of their executives. Do you find that the importance of email is understood all the way up to your exec level at Virgin?
So absolutely, but I think it's about bringing it to life. If you start talking about DMARC, how important that is, or BIMI, or etc., people will automatically switch off. So bringing it to life, bringing it back down to metrics, bringing it back down to results, and not just from a business perspective, but also what the customer impact really means for us is significantly important, because that ultimately is the only way we're going to succeed as a business.
That's great to hear, and I'm sure that makes your life and the life of your team that much easier for sure. Let's bring Reece into the conversation. And I think one thing that we know about Virgin globally, but equally applicable to Virgin Atlantic, is that you're very famous for your playful, sophisticated tone of voice. You're also known for industry-defining innovation. And so how do you go about making sure that these attributes are also reflected in your email program, Reece?
Yeah, I mean, we have Richard Branson to thank for that.
Of course.
The playfulness. But we're very lucky to have a brand that encourages creativity and innovation. It gives us the freedom to create standout experiences for all of our guests. And the playfulness is a core part of our tone of voice, and we want to use that as much as possible. Obviously, in a crowded inbox, we're looking for ways, as is everyone, to stand out. But our tone of voice obviously helps bring that personality, that energy into communications. And we see that it's not just the messaging that should be the key part of our emails and any of our communications, but it's the creative execution as well, which is just as important. And that's how we look at it. We don't want to just send a one size fits all email. It needs to be creative. It needs to stand out. And if our guests are clicking on the inbox, they're seeing our name, Virgin Atlantic, they know something's in there. They know something creative is in there, and it follows the brand. And again, that's whether it's a trading email, a pre-flight, post-flight email, everything, all emails should bring that through that Virgin personality look and feel. And, at times, obviously, we need to be reactive. There's always times that we're going to have to be, as is everyone. But our strong creative foundations allow us to move quickly without obviously losing that quality. Other times, obviously, we can focus more deeply on the overall guest experience. And a great example of that would be Black Friday. We fully changed our creative. We went with a full dark theme. obviously aligned with brand guidelines, but while still feeling bold and distinctive, but most importantly, uniquely Virgin, which is something that we always say um, in the office. Anything new that's innovative, it has to be uniquely Virgin. And
Uh,
obviously, sorry, go.
no, absolutely. I was just saying, I'm looking at the Black Friday example in the middle of our slide here, and it's remarkable because it's a complete departure from your sort of normal color scheme and brand, but yet still instantly recognizable as a Virgin Atlantic email. Great job.
Yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right. And obviously, I'm sure we'll come on to Litmus later on, but obviously, we use Litmus for render testing, which really gives us the confidence to go and explore more creative solutions. It obviously allows us to test, refine, and push what's possible across email clients. Because obviously, everyone on this call, I hate Outlook. I'm sure everyone else does, but many email clients don't support interactivity. But we see it as that shouldn't stop us from delivering the best possible experience. And obviously, we design with both innovation and accessibility in mind. And we make sure that all of our fallbacks are just as visually strong and engaging because, we don't want any guest to miss out on a quality experience regardless of their email client, even if they are using a very old Outlook.
That's such
Yeah,
an
no,
important point, the fallbacks, and I feel like a lot of email marketers tend to overlook how important it actually is. Really great point. Tom, I want to move on and sort of you talked a little bit about deliverability in your introduction. And
yeah,
I actually wanted to do a little bit of boasting on behalf of you and your team because never mind a 99 sender score. Over the last few days, you've been running at 100. You guys literally can't get any better, which is quite an achievement. Take a bow.
yeah,
And you see it reflected in the deliverability performance of your messages. You're running at a level which is about a 6 higher than industry benchmark for programs like yours. So really great job. But you know how it is in email. I mean, it's constantly changing. So I guess the question is, how do you view the changing deliverability landscape, and how do you deal with the challenges that it presents to your email program?
yeah, absolutely. And I think this kind of leads on from Reese's kind of previous point there that it is all about the customer at the end of the day. How are they experiencing it? What can we deliver, and how is the best way we can accommodate what we're delivering in that space? Because I think to maybe answer your question, yes, the landscape has exploded, but my personal reflection is our email providers aren't doing this to make it difficult um, for everybody else. They have a specific objective to make it better for people that are using their products, as we all do. So I think this is just where it gives us additional responsibility to be able to understand what we need to do to demonstrate the fact that we are, proactively making sure the messaging that we're delivering to our customers are delivering the right message. Cliche again, right message, right time, etc., etc. So, I mean, we've seen the likes of Gmail, obviously looking at managed subscriptions. We've looked at understood how Apple Mail is looking at how they're interpreting different email content, and I think it's really, for me at least, always about how we are looking to keep up with those challenges, but ultimately responsibility for each of our customers and individuals. And then from a pure business perspective, how do we stand out from the crowd, and how do we stand on top of the curve?
Some really great points you make there because you're right. I mean, deliverability and the trust that drives deliverability, you can't demand it, you earn it with your customers. And I think
Exactly.
clearly looking at the chat, some of our listeners are very impressed with your performance. Melissa says she's jealous. So there you go. Reece, briefly, I mean, I guess this is a topic that's close to your heart as well, because, all of that great creative work you do doesn't count for too much if the messages don't get to the inbox.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I just wanted to give a bit of a real life example, actually. A few weeks ago during testing, we noticed an email was landing in the junk folder, but specifically with iCloud accounts. And we identified the issue through our monitoring before we launched, which is obviously key. But because we caught this early, we were able to resolve the issue before go live, and that's is testament to obviously how we make sure that we can actually make sure that everything reaches the inbox, and our customers, our guests, get the best experience possible.
Nice. Okay, let's pivot a little bit and talk about personalization because it's such a core part of Virgin Atlantic's email program, and it's something that you guys do really, really well. And I think, part of that success is the way that, you're fortunate that you have access to a really rich customer data set that you can use to personalize your customer journeys. Can you spend a minute or two giving our audience a sense of how you go about doing this, Tom?
So I suppose the only thing I would probably say to everybody that's listening, and this might just be us, and we might be fortunate enough within Virgin Atlantic, but this data is accessible for everybody. From yes, I think there are always going to be challenges in terms of legacy systems. There's always going to be challenges in terms of integration, but I think if we can spend time, I mean this nicely, but we can spend time complaining about what we don't have versus what we can utilize for what we do have. That's not for Virgin Atlantic. I think we've got a really good kind of solid direction and architecture, but I just would kind of recommend for everybody that's thinking about that, just look on the elements of data that is really important for you guys.
And I know from speaking with you guys before that, part of your philosophy, especially about the email channel, is that it's very much a two-way channel. It's a conversation between you and your customers. You actively solicit customer feedback in terms of how your email program's performing, and you take the learnings from that feedback and use this as a continual improvement loop. I mean, I don't want to sit here putting words in your mouth, but all of that applies to the philosophy behind the way that you run your email program, doesn't it?
And 100%. And I think that is the clear. Once you have that, significant foundational platform, then that is the baseline that you can move forward. I suppose all I would say to anybody else is don't dwell too much on some of the some of the specific challenges that people are facing. Like, look at the baseline you have and build upon it from there, because that's where you're going to get some really significant gains, and that's where you're going to really be able to drive your roadmap with the likes of obviously Litmus.
Absolutely. And I think it's the future. I wrote a LinkedIn post the other day about, death of no reply, and it just generated so much buzz and commentary. I think, people are firmly aligned with what we're talking about here. Reece, let's come back to you. You've recently started using Litmus. I think, as we've already touched on, Virgin Atlantic renowned for your world-class creatives. Can you share a few thoughts with us in terms of how you're planning on using Litmus to up your game even further?
Yeah, that's a good question. So obviously, initially we started using Litmus purely for email rendering tests, and obviously it still remains a fundamental part of our email program. Every single email that we do, we make sure that it's fully tested. But beyond the rendering tests, we're now sort of rolling out the Litmus proofing tab to the wider team. So this obviously allows the team to review everything in one place. They can check links, alt tags, they can leave comments directly on the email. So being able to collaborate as a team in one place without having to switch through multiple different tools is going to be hugely beneficial. But also it's going to help streamline things, streamline processes, approval processes. So once the email reviews are complete, we can then approval will happen through Litmus, and then that creates a clear, efficient end-to-end workflow. So we're really excited to roll that out. But more importantly, we're hoping that's going to help save time and efficiencies across different departments as well, because sometimes that's where we struggle, as many will do, that understanding of why emails are built a certain way. But if we can collaborate within one app and they can see that, then it's going to be huge for us.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't think you'll ever speak to an email marketer that tells you they wish they didn't have so much free time in the day. So I think, hearing you say, listen, a great opportunity to perhaps optimize performance further, but work smarter in achieving that as well. That just sounds like a win-win. I think, another challenge for email marketers is where does the inspiration come from? And, especially in your sector, the airline industry is fiercely competitive. And, as Tom mentioned in your intro, Virgin Atlantic is something of a challenger brand. You're constantly taking on the established players. So how do you keep an eye on what your competitors are doing, especially their email programs? And perhaps even more importantly, what do you do with those insights?
Yeah, yeah. So we use mail charts, and for those that don't know, mail charts basically collates emails from many different brands, so we can see it all in one place. But more importantly, mail charts has become a core monthly view of our competitor activity. So it helps us understand how the wider market is communicating. And we look at competitors, we look at the industry, but we also look at how other industries are performing as well and how they send their emails, how they communicate things. Um, but for us, we review what communications competitors have sent the previous month. And then we look back at the same period of time last year, and we can go back years for this, to inform us of what competitors may do the following month. So we can be a bit more reactive as well if we need to be. Um, we do it for on a monthly basis, but then we also look at the bigger picture as well each quarter when those sort of tent pole moments are, for competitors.
Mm.
We obviously do it to analyze content, how many emails competitors are sending on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. Um, but one thing we always look at is we analyze which days competitors are sending emails.
Hmm.
It gives us sort of real insight into inbox behaviors as such. Um, and ultimately, it allows us to then go and test different send days as well to make sure we're sending on the optimal time, the right day, making sure we hit the right time because we know our content is giving that one-to-one personalized experience, but are we sending on the right day? So if it doesn't land at the right day, will they open the email? That's what we're analyzing. And
I love that. So you're thinking about competitor intelligence quite tactically, not just who's using a prettier creative than us. Really
yeah,
nice.
yeah,
Smart thinking.
absolutely. And just to add on to that, sorry, that
Yeah, sure.
we also look at obviously competitor journeys as well. So not just those one-off sends.
Yeah.
So we're obviously looking at their welcome journeys, their abandoned browse, re-engagement, all of those. And we don't just do that when we want to update our own. We do that throughout the year to make sure that we stay ahead of everyone else.
Clever. Because I mean, at the end of
I,
the
I,
day, those are your highest value messages.
yeah, and sorry to interrupt you, Guy. I would just echo what Reece is saying there. I think that has been one of our bigger, most efficient kind of benefits of the likes of Mail Charts is because if you're joining up to a competitive program, competitive loyalty program, as an example, you can't demonstrate the same behaviors as someone that is, so you'll never see something coming into your inbox. So something like Mail Charts is really being able to give us a better spectrum in terms of the communications that are coming through more
I
broadly.
swear
So
you must have just been gazing into your crystal ball, Tom, because there was literally a question about 30 seconds ago. Any tips for re-engagement? So you've nailed it. I just want to keep an eye on the clock because we've still got a couple of good talking points to get onto. And staying with you, Tom, I mean, we've talked about the sort of creative and engagement aspects of email, but security is so important too. And I know that you've been using our solutions for your DMARC reporting for a while, and
yeah.
now at a stage where you've up to your DMARC policy of reject. So really great job. And you touched on this earlier in the conversation. This has enabled good outcomes like the implementation of BIMI, for example, where your approved logo is displayed next to your emails in your customers' inboxes. And it looks really great, and it definitely helps your emails stand out. But there's important security benefits too, aren't there? And yeah, how have your customers responded since you implemented BIMI?
I mean, significantly. So it can sometimes be the more boring element of the the work we live in, but it is probably the most important. So yes, we've gone through. I won't lie, it's been quite a journey going through. DMARC through to obviously having that validated, going through quarantine and rejects, and then obviously with the help of what Everest was able to support us on there, but that has ultimately led up to BIMI and Apple branded mail, which means that we do have immediately a better a better authentication and authority within the market. So like I said before, I think the challenge is first and foremost, Virgin is so significantly aligned to security for every single one of our customers. I mean, it only seems like every couple of months we hear about new data security breaches, whether that be any other brand. So we are very conscious of that, and the likes of this functionality is very
That's
key.
awesome. So I think, clearly benefits in terms of both recognition and trust. And I know from speaking to John in your team, who wasn't able to join us today, but he was saying significant impacts in, significant uplifts in terms of click rates as well since BIMI's been available. So it sounds like it's all positive.
Absolutely, and that wouldn't have been the case had it not been for the foundational layer that we've done with DMARC. So.
Nice. We've got about 3 minutes before we need to finish up. So I think you guys have got such a great story to tell, but we all know that email innovation is brutally relentless. I'm sure that even as industry leaders, you are constantly focused on how you stay ahead, constantly thinking about possible threats that may emerge, opportunities that you can harness. So, Reece, very briefly, where's your thinking at in terms of important areas of focus across the rest of this year?
Yeah, you're right. It's a challenging space as email continues to evolve. Obviously, AI is reshaping how emails are created and consumed. Um, Apple Mail and Gmail are making major changes to how users see emails. So for us, obviously, innovation is key to staying relevant, and we want to push those boundaries. Standing out in the inbox, obviously, is more important than ever. But it's more the work that we've done behind the scenes. So we've shaped ourselves to be industry leaders, and that success comes from the foundations we've built, ensuring our briefing processes are fit for purpose, maximizing our platforms to their full potential. And for this year, our focus is on strengthening those foundational qualities that we have and we have in place. And that's going to be to enable innovation at scale this year, and maximize everything that we can do, and obviously continue to lead in an increasingly complex email landscape because it's forever changing. So as long as we've got those foundations in place, we can put our focus to the complexities of email.
Awesome. And I take it it's an absolute given that, like everyone else, you are playing with how you weave artificial intelligence into your program at the same time that all the major mailbox providers are doing exactly the same, weaving AI into their mailbox experiences. Is it creating any concerns for you guys in terms of how you continue developing your email program?
I think it's a case of being responsible. I mean, AI is going to transform our world as it is currently doing at the moment. It's about understanding how we can be responsible, both within terms of our practices, but ultimately what we're doing for our customers. I think just don't be afraid. Understand how this works and what you need to do to be able to make that more efficient for your communications is the biggest recommendation I could possibly give.
Nice. Final question. In fact, I'll preface it. So, yesterday we launched Engage, which is Validity's brand new AI-powered email optimization platform. And speaking personally, I'm convinced it's going to be a genuine game changer for email marketers, the next big step forward for Validity. We're excited. Hopefully you are too. I think you both know Validity solutions better than most. I'd love to finish up with perhaps just a one-liner from each of you in terms of your thoughts, in terms of how you'd like to see Validity harnessing the AI opportunity moving forwards.
Yeah, I'll go first because I think Reece is going to steal my comment otherwise. But it's all about action for me. So I think with what we've seen, it's all about there's so much noise and data around. How do you turn that insight into action? That'd be my comment.
What about you, Reece?
Yeah, I mean, as Tom said, it is actionability. We already have tons of data. We have list validation, reputation, inbox placement. So we're not short of data there. We're short on the connected insight. So we obviously want to be able to ask AI, what's driving spam complaints this month? We shouldn't have to go through dashboards. We should just be able to ask that question. So that'll be exciting.
Well, I've got to say that was a leading question, but I think as soon as you guys have an opportunity to have a look at it, you're going to be excited because, based on what you've just played back to me, I think you will be impressed. Can't believe how quickly half an hour has gone past.
Quick, isn't it?
And I think, really just to say thank you so much for joining us today. I think what an incredible story, and really appreciate you guys at Virgin Atlantic for sharing how you've connected creativity, data, collaboration to drive forward your results. So, Tom and Reece, thank you again. I think, just an observation from my side, Virgin Atlantic's success is proof that great email isn't just about design or strategy. It's about making sure that every message actually reaches the inbox. And their 100 sender score shows what's possible when deliverability is part of the conversation from the start. So after yesterday's big announcement, I've actually got another one for you listeners. That's exactly where we're headed next with Litmus. We're taking Validity's trusted inbox placement, spam, and tab placement data and surfacing it right inside Litmus, giving marketers clear, easy to understand visibility into inbox and tab placement across campaigns. It's deliverability made accessible. It's the same powerful data now in the same platform where you build and test and analyze your emails. And because you can't convert emails that don't reach the inbox with Litmus deliverability, now you'll know exactly how to make sure they do.